يمشي بتسلسل الأسئلة. ها؟
عشان تاخد شيء يعني.
لا لا، قول له يمشي بتسلسل الأسئلة. قول له ابتدي من نرجو الدعاء لوالدة إحدى الأخوات المصابة. قول له المترجم يستعطفك.
لحظة بس. والله إذا جاهز حقول لك، والله وكيلك. جو.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام.
In the name of Allah,
وعلى آله وصحبه.
and all the praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and all prayers upon His Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Sheikh is welcoming everybody for the new episode of this program, Fatawa, which is live. So a lady or somebody asked the Sheikh to pray to a lady. She's diagnosed with cancer and coronavirus. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala offer her a speedy recovery. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala distance that sickness from her. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant her the best recovery. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make our dua to that sister is accepted. Ameen. The first question is about buying houses and taking a loan in order to use it actually to reduce or lower your tax payment. Sheikh is saying that he knows exactly what the questioner is asking about, because everybody in this country is looking for a house, but we have to use the right ways to do that, which is according to the Islamic living rules. And that is only when you are in need. So when you are in a bad need to do that, which is called darura in Islamic dictionary. So Sheikh is advising that the questioner to make his best effort, or to do his best effort to collect the money that is needed to buy a house without taking that loan from a bank. And Sheikh also is giving another advice, telling that questioner to try to find a good person that he could give him like a loan without getting any interest. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make things easy for that brother and ease everything to him and get things done easy and quickly for him. Somebody is asking about something called the modernity. Like, you know, there is madhab, you know, like Hanafi, Hanbali, and so on, and there is something called the hadatha, modernity, which was like approached firstly or developed firstly by somebody. His name is Muhammad Abdu, or some scholars like Muhammad Abdu. So the regular people, or the normal ones, they don't have madhab. They don't have a certain approach like Hanafi or Hanbali. So they need just to ask the people with knowledge. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ means just ask those who have knowledge of the Quran. These are the regular people. so you can learn from them. And accordingly, so if somebody was born in a certain country, that a certain madhab is just the major madhab in this country. For example, in the North Africa, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, they have, for example, the Maliki madhab. They naturally follow that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them the right approach, which is to ask the people of knowledge in what country you are in, and they will actually give you fatwa according to their mazhab or their Islamic approach. If you're in Pakistan, for example, a great country, so if you are in Pakistan, you're gonna follow the approach or the madhab of Al-Hanafiya. If you are in the Syria or Egypt or this country, they follow the madhab of the Al-Shafi'i, and well, the scholars in these countries, they will just give you fatwa according to Shafi'i madhab, and so on. In Saudi, in Kuwait, they follow, for example, Hanbali, and so on. So just each one, every person is just required to ask the scholars in his or her country or nation, so they would just follow. And then in the end, we have to have tolerance. We have to respect other madhab. So if every Muslim should just respect others' madhab and so on. So if you follow a certain madhab, don't try to just restrict the knowledge just on that madhab or the other. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is getting you or giving you the yusr, the ease, not the hardship. So when that madhab is required for a person, when that person is just a scholar, for example, if you are a student in Al-Azhar or a university in Saudi like Mecca or Medina, the University of Medina Munawwara, so you're gonna actually study a certain madhab. So you're gonna be actually a scholar in this area, in that madhab, either Shafi'i or Hanbali or so. So Sheikh is saying that the advantage of learning in Al-Azhar, for example, is that you learn all the four mazhab. And Sheikh himself used to be a teacher or teaching assistant in the university. So there was no anybody who's Hanbali in Al-Azhar at that time except to one student. So Al-Azhar University at that time were just looking for people to teach that one person, that madhab. And that's actually a good character of an academic institution like Al-Azhar. That's just the Sheikh has given an example in Al-Azhar, but I'm sure that example is existing everywhere else. The next question is, do you advise the knowledge seeker to memorize the Quran, or he could just expand his knowledge on different things like sha'r, like poetry or prose or Arabic grammar and so on? So Sheikh said, Hifz al-Quran or memorizing the Quran is required in order to know everything in this Quran, like how to spend your zakah, how to observe your siyam, how to perform hajj, and so on. So you need to learn as much as you can actually perform your ibadah, you can do your act of worship, and then go and seek knowledge. So if you have like a study plan, if you have a study plan, you can learn and you can expand your knowledge in Quran and its knowledge and Sunnah, fiqh, and the Arabic language and the poetry, and then the biography of the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. So all these pillars, or all these foundations of the knowledge of the Muslim person. And remember that the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever seeks a road or a way of knowledge, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make everything easy for him. The question Sheikh is asking, or get at question, that somebody is working in a mining place, and the owner of that place did not give them the money they deserve. So Sheikh is making dua for him that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ease things for this guy and soften the heart of that owner of that mining place, so he would pay them or give them the money that they deserve for the job they do. And Sheikh also remind us that whoever eaten the right of somebody, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him the worst spot in the hellfire, which is wild. You know, it's kind of so they will take from his hasanat or good deeds and be added to their good deeds, while they will be taken, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be taken from their bad deeds and adding that over that person who ate the rights of others. So whoever committed dhulm over somebody, that's gonna be in like very tough situation in the day of judgment. So Sheikh is just is making dua to make us among those who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a very... So somebody is asking about the conquest of Constantinople. Is that could be like is that a question
إن التبشير بفتح القسطنطينية وإن التبشير بفتح مصر ينبثقان من مشكلة.
The question was about, again, the conquest of Constantinople. Was that considered like occupation, like nowadays when a country just go and occupied another country? Is that the same thing? So the Prophet ﷺ reminded us with the story of the conquest of Egypt, when the Prophet ﷺ urged his companions to spread Islam. So the Prophet also said, someday you will conquer the Constantinople. It is the same person who the Prophet ﷺ who said, someday you will conquer Egypt and spread Islam in it. So look at these two examples. Very nice analogy that the Sheikh is making here. So it's not occupation. So when you go to a country to spread Islam and make the word of Allah to be the supreme word, that's actually not occupation.
إما هذا وإما ذاك. إذا نسب هذا القول إلى أحد من المنتسبين إلى العلم أو الفقه فهو زلة فتوى.
So Sheikh also is commenting on the point here that if a Muslim who came up with that kind of question, that is one of his down points or down issues. He should make istighfar and stay away from just claiming such sayings. Sheikh is saying sometimes, the hypocrite sometimes would say the right thing while somebody would have knowledge, but the wrong things or dalal can come on his mouth or his tongue.
عندما تسمعها ينبو عنها سمعك وينبو عنها عقلك. هي كلمة تروح وتنشرونها وتقولون ما هذه فحذروا ما يقال. ثم قال
هذا السؤال
ولا تصدنكم عنه فإنه يوشك أن يفيء غيره. ولا تصدنكم عنه فإنه يوشك أن يفيء وأن يراجع الحق. رواية أخرى أنه قال وإذا افتتن فانتظروا فيئة فإن المؤمن يفتن ثم يكون.
Sheikh is still talking about the Muslim or the mu'min if he or she gets in the fitna. So the Prophet ﷺ said that mu'min or that Muslim will get back to the right again, because it will be just like falling in that fitna. But then, because of his knowledge and his goodness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might guide him back or her back to the right path.
فلم ندخل في مسجدها ما ليس منه وحافظنا على حملة الشريعة والملة ولم نطلق الإنسان فيه المختلف عنه فإنما أطلق لسانه بأهل العلم من عرف بالفضل منهم بالفضل والعيب بسبب زلة من السنين.
And accordingly, if we hear a scholar who would say something like that someday, we don't have to criticize him day and night, because in fact we should actually try to get him back to the goodness of the Muslim community. And those who actually do that, like speaking bad about the scholars, and they will have bad end when they are exposed before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They will be described as liars. They have lied on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet. The next question is a divorced lady, and she is asking that she lives with her ex-husband in the same place without any touches or any relation. The Sheikh says, if you are a divorced lady, well, if it's only one talqa or one time divorce, so they can still touch one another. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fill that like cold relationship and bring them back to their marriage again. Because in that situation, if the man has a relationship, a sexual relationship with his wife, they would, according to their fiqh, they would get back to their natural or their marriage relationship. But if they are 3 divorce cases, like 3 talqat, so there is no touch, there is nothing unless she gets married to another one. So هل zakah would be paid from a sister to her sister? Yes. Sheikh said that case, yes, a sister to her sister is fine, and a brother to his brother, uncle, and so on is fine. But you cannot give zakat to your dad, your mom, or your son, and your daughter. You just look at, like the generation, the first, they call it the first blood relation, which is the father, mother, and son, and daughter. So if you play cards without money, so as the Sheikh said, it's not halal, and even if you use money in it, it's even totally haram. How to get the divorced wife back if somebody divorces his wife for once or twice? How can do that? The description. So the Sheikh said it can be by wording, and it could be by action. By wording, they just like having the natural or the sexual relationship with that divorced lady for once. That's actually kind of like getting back to that marriage. But the Sheikh is insisting that the couple should be right in all these cases, because if, for example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has limited that to 3 times only. So if somebody divorces his wife 3 times, no way it's a halal for him anymore. So therefore they have to count. Just somebody like is a witness that would say, hey, yes, you did that once or twice or 3 times, so you have to be just within that domain. Buying houses, what is the fatwa or the hukm of buying houses through like the real estate from the company that is the owner of that house? So if it's only one contract, like a contract of buying, and the same contract is to take this one with like but if you have like 2 contracts, one to buy and one to take a loan, it's forbidden. The Sheikh is also advising this type of questioners to seek an Islamic company or an Islamic bank like Guidance UIF. Amja has conducted a training course or a workshop on that kind of so just check amja.com our amjaonline.com. Gonna look at this question and answers in very details.
جار لنا تاجر للخمر
We have a neighbor. We have a neighbor who is a wine. He's selling wines and stuff like that. So we are his neighbors. And then he was just getting rid of his bike. So we asked him if we would take this bike and use it, or take some of its parts so we could actually fix our bike. Is that lawful? So the sheikh said, yes, there is nothing in that. You are just, the issue is to take his money. So the Prophet ﷺ was dealing with non-Muslims, and he accepted their invite to have dinner or to have food with them. And you know the story of the Prophet ﷺ when he accepted the invite to have dinner at this Jewish lady who actually put some poison in his food at that time. She put the poison in the katif, or the shoulder of that goat. And the Prophet ﷺ knew that they actually play with the rules and the laws that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed over them, but even though he accepted their invite. Al-hijama, which is the cupping. Cupping is just to is that can make somebody fasting, to break her or his fasting? Sheikh said no, it does not. That the stepmother can deal, or can show up at with the husband of her stepdaughter. Another question about somebody working in some of the satellite TV networks, and this networks, they have songs, they have dance, so they are afraid that the money that this person is making like it's an Islamic network. So these channels, if they are compared to other channels, they are much better than other channels, even though they have something wrong. But like if you are in that nice light, but there is like a dark spot in that light, still there is light there. And in every situation, good and bad will get mixed. It's the good person who can differentiate between the good and bad, and the light and dark, or the light and darkness. Again, you might find some spots there and there, but here and there. But your job is to be able to emphasize or to define that.
النور الذي ليس بصافٍ وإلا بقي الإنسان في الظلمة فلا ينبغي أن يعيب الرجل ويمنع عن نور فيه ظلمة إلا إذا حصل النور من
So if there is a light without any darkness, it's clear that this is right. But if you have light and you find some dark spot there, so again that's much better than just like like pure darkness.
يعني نحافظ على وجوده وندعمه ونبث روح الصلاح في هذه المسألة. لو انسحب الصالحون جميعا من هذه المواقع الأصنام نحن نقول للصالحين زاحموا.
So if Sheikh is commenting on that, saying that if the righteous people should not leave this kind of like networks or i'lam, communication or broadcasting and stuff like that. So again, he's not a musician. He's just like a photographer. So he doesn't have a straight or a direct relationship with that. Like Sheikh is given another example. Like I work in Walmart, and you avoid just the department of wines and haram things in Walmart, but if you work in any other department, you are fine. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just guide all of us to the right thing. So you try to avoid being in that haram department. It's the same example of that person who's working in a network or a channel that has good and bad, so he's just trying to avoid being in that bad like incidents or jobs. May Allah guide all of us to the right thing. A lady passed away and left three daughters and 6 sisters, and she has 2 houses or 2 apartments. And she left. So she has 3 daughters and 6 sisters. For the house or the 2 apartments she left, she actually kind of like made a contract, like a selling. She sold it like to the daughters, and she didn't do anything. And also she has like 6 kirats of land, and so the person is asking the question is trying to seek an answer on if the 3 daughters are really in need of every penny within that like heritage. The 6 sisters, they are fine, they do good in this life, they don't need, but the 3 daughters, they are really in good need of that. So the Sheikh is saying, like the houses, because maybe the daughters are living in these 2 apartments, because they are actually occupying that place, they are using it, and that could be okay for given that as a gift, hiba. But they already have this one or had this one during the time that the mother was still alive. And after that, you look at the land, has to be divided, like the 2/3 goes to the daughters, and the 1/3 goes to the 6 sisters. But if the 6 sisters would like to waive, their right to have a portion or their portion of that land, but do not force them. There is no forcing here. If they have like a good intention, a soft heart that would do that as like Silat Rahim, that would be great, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward them the good in all their life matters. They are considered the muhsin, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give the muhsin as nobody would be given. So if they actually stick with, they need that as the right, it's a shara, like from the Islamic point of view, that's fine. But if they just do that voluntarily and out of love, out of kindness to their nieces, that would be a great reward, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward all of them for doing that wonderful deed. A question she said her cousin has like a hopeless case, and he's on ventilators, he's on all these devices in the hospital. The Sheikh said Sheikh says that seeking treatment is something, there is nothing wrong with it. Everything you could do to rescue the life of somebody is fine. Like somebody was in a car accident and he needs some blood transfer immediately, yes, we can do that. But if somebody in a hopeless case that he's not even be able to inhale or exhale by himself or herself, so we try just to put that person on the machines or the devices that would just extend the time that his body is with us. Sheikh says that everybody now has can write his or her will, and he can write or she can write that very clearly in that will, like, hey, if I reach that point that unable to make any decision or move or anything, and must be using these machines, like just somebody can write that leave me there for like few weeks or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or do not put me at all on this device. Let me just have this peaceful time with my Lord until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would get what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribes over me. It's like there is a saying, whoever loves to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves to meet him. And always we make dua that Allah subhanahu would give us the pleasure of seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's like a destiny, and everybody will get to that point regardless of young or old.
لو كان أمره بيده لو كان قراره بيده ما أقرهم عليها ولا وافقهم عليها. أسأل الله جل وعلا أن يلطف بنا إذا دنت من هذه اللحظة ويأتي لا ريب فيها.
There is no doubt that this moment or that destiny will come to each one. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the right and the wise decision to make for that moment. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the What did I do?
الله أكبر الله أكبر
حظاظ الله يخليك هلا اصعب شيء
الله